I've been spending a lot of time recently playing Project Zomboid. How many hours exactly? I can even tell you that by checking my library real quick while I'm also simultaneously chatting here. It looks like I've played it for 76.1 hours, which I'm sure to those who play Project Zomboid regularly, they're like laughing their asses off because 76 hours ain't shit. It's not even a snack. Um, Especially when you realize how deceptively deep this game is. You know, like on the surface, and that's probably it's not probably it's definitely one of the defining reasons why I like the game so much because it looks like a simple little isometric low graphic intensity type of game, almost Sims like, right? Cartoonish and almost borderline 2D-ish. And then you get into the game. You start to get into the mechanics, to the nutrition, which at this point right now, I'm having difficulty with because I'm like very underweight and I'm eating all fucking day, you know, game meat mixed with vegetables and such, and I'm still losing weight. It's kind of frustrating. But I feel like that's because I don't have the mechanics down packed. So tonight I plan to give it another run through and actually try to really nail down this diet thing so I can start not only gaining weight but maintaining it. But the wild thing is, it's like you would never guess by just glancing at this game how deep it is. That's why I said deceptively deep. It just looks like a simple game on the surface, but there's so many mechanics, running in the background, like diet. Like I just explained to you, nutrition is just one. You can literally like spend a whole game session just focusing on nutrition, trapping, food, fishing for food, farming food, foraging for food, scavenging for food in like, old abandoned uh, uh, buildings and houses and residential areas and commercial areas. You can spend s- multiple play sessions just focusing on food, on nutrition. And then you can spend multiple play sessions just focusing on mechanics, fixing cars and, or tailoring or there's so many little occupations, little jobs that you can keep yourself busy with for like quite possibly an infinite amount of time. And I'm not using that word loosely. Like you can play this game for as long as you have time in your life, which is pretty wild to say, right? Like technically you can say that about any game, right? That you can just play over and over again. But what I mean is like you can always experience something new every time you jump on a play session. You start up a server or whatever play style you decide to choose, which is a nice little segue to what I'm to the next subject, which I want to talk about, which is like this game to me is like the ultimate game. What exactly do I mean by the ultimate game? I mean like this game can be played by anyone because you can tailor make you can start your own server and you can tinker with all of the settings. If you're someone who likes min maxing and you want to you want to have your weight optimal, you want to have all your skills optimal, you want to just be the ultimate badass slash survivor, you can do that. You can, if you want difficulty, you want zombies to actually sprint after you, which I fucking highly do not recommend. But there's people out there who play like that, like they want a true challenge. You can do that. You can fucking not have zombies at all. You can completely eliminate them from the world and just focus on crafting and survival itself. You can turn off all of the nutrition aspects or the if I'm not mistaken, you can turn off the that like fatigue moodles. And moodles are basically like these little circular emoticons. I don't even know if people still use that word, but it's like little indicators on the upper right side of your screen that lets you know what you're currently experiencing, whether it's good or bad, whether it's you being tired, whether it's you being hungry, whether it's you being well fed, whether it's you being cold. If I'm not mistaken, you can shut all of that off and just play a game of just whacking zombies in the fucking face all day long. You can just run around and just loot. That doesn't get old. I love beating a zombie's face in. It's always fun. Except when you get bit. That's never fun. But I love that. That's one thing I like about the game because it is permadeath. I would say by default settings, you can even shut off the infection. There's no cure for the infection for those who haven't played Project Zomboid. Once you get bitten, it's game over. Like literally, like you may not die right outright. I believe the default setting is about 3 days for you to turn into a full zombie. But once you get bit, there is no cure. So you're just a ticking time bomb now. It's not a matter if, it's a matter when. So that's cool. I like that because you get the plan. Like you can make the guy who got bit in your squad, you can make him like a fucking suicide bomber, essentially, right? Like if you guys are out and about scavenging and there's a bunch of zombies, you go, all right, Tommy, you're up. See you in the afterlife. And just send that motherfucker out naked with like a stick and just have him go ape shit on a crowd of zombies. Um, that's cool. I love that. I love it. I don't like the fact that you can spend. I don't want to say countless, but like you can spend a shitload of real life hours developing your character and fine tuning this character to whatever you know preferences you like, whatever skills you like, whatever attributes you like, and then you get bitten. After all that time, your character is done. That's that reminds me of Scum because it's like in order for you to play games like that have permadeath, you have to be okay with loss, right? I know that may sound a little dramatic, but like you have to be okay with like the fact that you might just make the ultimate killing machine and then lose that ultimate killing machine in a stupid fucking way too, right? Because there's been times where I'm fighting like I probably took down maybe 20 25 zombies, maybe even 30 by myself, right? I'm kiting them because I'm not a psycho. I don't just dive in there like some of my other friends who I play with who just, I turn around and I'm like, hey man, and he's fucking fighting five, he's pushing two, smacking one. Like, I'm like, bro, it's only a matter of time for you to die. I like to kite them, I'll fucking look around, I'll beat the shit out of one, then look around and beat the shit out of the other. I like to, get the stragglers or whatever. I feel like that's better for your survival. But there's been times I've killed like 25, 30 of them that way, right? And I'm like, yeah, you feel like the ultimate killing machine, right? And then there's times where I'm fighting two and I get bit. I'm like, what the? I just took out half the city 20 minutes ago, and then I'm fighting two of them and I get bit. It's weird. It's like the game doesn't even do like it doesn't even hide the fact that you're going to die. That it is a difficult game. Like right at the beginning of every session, it's like this is how you died because you are going to die. It's only a matter of time. But your brain, it's almost like being a human. It's like when you're a human, you're in a constant state of denial, right? That's how you continue pushing forward through life, right? Like we all know we're going to die. Every human that's alive today know that eventually they're going to die. That's what awaits them on the other side. But it's like we keep like going into denial about it. We don't really think about it, and when we do think about it, we push it away to the darkest corners of our minds. We're like, we don't want to think about that shit right now. I got bills to pay. I got places to go. I've got people to see. So that death shit's gonna have to wait. But the thing is, it's like you're just fooling yourself. In reality, it's not like life is gonna go, oh yeah, he's not thinking about death. I guess I'll just leave him alone. You know what I mean? Like life doesn't do that. It's going to, make you trip down a fucking flight of steps when you least expect it. Probably while you're looking at your iPhone on TikTok. Which in that case you deserved it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Point is, death waits for no one, and we kind of just we focus so much on survival that we don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. And not to get all religious or anything on you, but it's like the only way you can live is if you accept death. I know that sounds like some edgy shit that you'll probably hear like in a emo album of some sort, but it is true. Like you have to accept that if you're living today, death is a part of life. And it's like if you know it's a part of life, should you be like scared of it? you know I mean, I can understand why you would. I'm fucking terrified of death. Who isn't? But it's like God bless those people that like figured it out. They're like, look, man, tribes and shit like that. They figured that out a long time ago. They're like, oh, when a member dies, they're like, oh, this sucks for like a day or two, and then they like burn them in a pyre, and then it's like, all right, who wants to eat hog? And it sounds cold to someone who's looking on the outside looking in. They're like, oh, it seems like they just discarded this person from their hearts and it's like, no, it's just life. You got to keep moving. You got to keep moving regardless of who lives or who dies. Well, that went deep. Yeah, the to segue back into the game, um, you have to be comfortable with loss. You have to be when you play games that have permadeath, any game that has permadeath, just about any game, because some of them are pretty arcadey. Like I guess you can say games like The Binding of Isaac that are like rogue-like or rogue type games. Where they have like, every it's maximum replayability, or every replay is different. Games like maybe Risk of Rain, I don't know if you can call those permadeath games because you do die and you do lose all your progress and you have to start all over. So is that some form of permadeath, or am I overthinking it? Well, anyways, you have to be comfortable with that. I've died several times. I've got mauled by zombies. I've spawned in a house one time with like 5 zombies, and as soon as I spawned, within the first 5 seconds, they all just dragged me down and ate me, and I was like, that's not even fair. But I sucked it up and I made a new character and ended up, I think, being in a house like next to the house that I died in, which is even more weirder. But there wasn't zombies in there, so I managed to fucking pick up a frying pan, some canned goods, can opener, and I jumped out the window. Um, Even now, my character, I'm a big forager. I'm a park ranger, and I've been foraging my ass off. I've got attacked by my character's been alive so far for a little over a month, which is the longest surviving character that I've had since I first started playing this game about a week or two ago, about a few weeks ago. And where am I going with this? It's coming. That's what she said, but let's see. I lost my train of thought. Shit. But anyways, maybe if I just keep rambling, that'll kickstart my shitty brain. I have a park ranger. Oh yeah, got it. Knew it. I knew I can count on you, old buddy. Um, my foraging is almost 8, and the maximum is 10. So I'm about to hit 8, or I probably did hit 8 yesterday. I think I did. No, 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 no. I'm about to hit 8. And then after that, it's just 2 more levels, and I'm maxed out my foraging. And if my character died now, it would be so fucking sad, dude. And he almost did, because in that month that my character has been alive, I've got attacked by a zombie 3 different times. And those 3 times they looked like clear bites. Like the animation was the zombie hunching over you, like lunging over you, then hunching over you. Then you hear like a bite sound. So I was like, "Fuck." I'm done for. But then after I beat that zombie senseless, can you beat a zombie senseless? I don't think you can, right? Because they're already senseless. Or no, they do have senses, right? Because they can hear and they can detect. Anyways, after you beat the shit out of a zombie, or that zombie that just bit you, I ran off and I started to like, look at my wounds and I'm like, it just said scratched. Or one said laceration. And I was like, wait a minute. How I guess that kind of, I don't know. Can you scratch someone with your teeth? That's like usually I associate scratching with like your hands, right? Like you like, oh, he lunged at me with his nails like a fucking jaguar and he scratched me. And yeah, that's how I'm scratched. Or I was walking around my house and I bumped into I don't know, my TV and it scratched me. Like, I don't think of teeth. Like oh, he scratched me with his teeth. Like, what? That's actually pretty talented. I don't know how someone could do that. It requires a lot of effort. But the animation showed this zombie clearly hunching over me. I hear the sound of a bite and me wincing or making a noise. And this happened on 3 different occasions throughout the month that I've been alive. and one of them was a laceration, and I think two of them were like scratches. Even last night, I got bit twice by the same zombie because I thought that I was safe in my own fucking base that me and a couple of friends are currently building, and I was just bullshitting, looking at my menu, at my inventory, and a fucking zombie bites me from behind in my safe house, quote unquote safe house. And I'm like, what the hell is that noise? He already bit me once, and then he bites me again. And I'm like, oh fuck! And that's when I realized there's a zombie inside the safe house. So I warn everyone, and then I beat the zombie. I beat the zombie alive because you can't beat him dead, right? Whatever. That's a whole different. I don't even want to go down that route. Zombie's dead or alive. The zombie's dispatched. Let's say that. And I'm like, fuck, he bit me, dude, twice. Like, looked at it, laceration and a scratch. And I was like, listen, I'm not complaining. I know that sounds like I'm bitching. I was happy as shit because I didn't want to have to, do the whole foraging thing again. I would have to start on like two foraging, I think, and I have to build that all up, which sucks. But luckily, it was the laceration, and still you can get infected. That's something that I have to mention for those who haven't played the game. You can still totally get infected if you've been lacerated by a zombie or scratched by a zombie. I read somewhere online that I think a laceration carries like a 25% chance of zombification, and a scratch is a 7% chance of zombification. And of course, if you get bitten, it's a 100% chance of zombification. This I'm not a strategy guide type of guy. I don't like to look at videos. I'm old school, man. Like, at least the reason I say old school is because I feel like most people are like very quick to just jump on their phone and look at endings. And now it's weird because now, and I think this is pretty neat though. Like, if you buy a game, right, and you necessarily don't enjoy this game, or you don't have the time to play this game, whatever the case may be, you can literally just go online and look at all the cutscenes for the game, and it'll be like you played the game. Like, you enjoyed the story without playing the game. I think that's pretty cool. That you couldn't do that back then, obviously, right? You couldn't do that like Super Nintendo days. There was no YouTube or anything like that. So I think that's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's kind of shitty because it's like, it's a double-edged sword because those who haven't bought the game can just go, oh, well, I can just experience the game without buying it. It's kind of like a cheat, like a rough cheat. And that kind of sucks on that note, because I'm sure that's a few. Like, I wonder how much of a financial loss that would be for video game developers and publishers and companies in general. Like, how much revenue do they lose yearly from people who just go on YouTube and just watch walkthroughs of the game or see cutscenes? I don't know. So I'm not a big fan of strategy guides or anything, but this game requires them, man, because I was trapping, and I was trapping for days. And I don't mean like in-game days. I mean like real life days. Like, I would in the meantime I would just have to forage for food, and by foraging I'm eating, berries and mushrooms. One time I died from a poisonous mushroom, which is shitty because my character was alive for about a half a month at that time. And I was like, I ate 1/4 of it, and I was like, okay, this doesn't seems pretty good. Then I ate the entire thing, and then I rapidly started dying because I was poisoned. That sucked. But you learn. Now I have a friend who's a nutritionist or herbalist, and I bother her every 5 seconds, like, hey, is this poisonous? Hey, is this poisonous? And she screams at me all the time because she's cooking or she's, you know, yeah, yeah, that sucks. But where was I going? Oh yeah, I'm not a strategy guide type of dude, but this game is like there's no way I could have known that in order for you to catch any type of animal, right? A squirrel. I think right now you can only trap five, which is a bird, a squirrel, a rabbit, what else? A rat and a mouse. I believe those are the only five animals that you can currently trap with your traps. I don't know if you can trap any more. But it's so complex, right? Once again, deceptively deep. That's the key word for this game. You know, uh, which is also to me is deceptively deep slash ultimate game because you can play this game however you want. So like if you're someone like I said who doesn't care about the min maxing, you can just play this game outright and just remove all of the the things that you feel are hampering you, which is like the hunger, the thirst, all, and you can just run around and be a fucking zombie killing machine all day long. Or you can, actually play the game for how it's intended to be. It's supposed to be like, you genuinely surviving in a zombie apocalypse, but not just worrying about the zombie threat, also worrying about your diet and about the environment and lots of other things that can also kill you. Real life shit that you would have to worry about if there was a zombie apocalypse. I love that. I'm all in on that. It is a little difficult, and sometimes it feels unfair, and that's the part that gets me the most. Not the difficulty. I'm used to playing difficult games. I welcome difficult games. I love challenges in my games. It's just the unfairness. Sometimes it feels like, hey, like yesterday, we spent about 3 hours playing, and I was eating all goddamn day, and I was not even running or jumping through windows just to conserve energy and not burn calories. And I was eating all day, like these big hearty meals with like game. I think I said this earlier, maybe not, probably repeating myself. I was eating like hearty game meat mixed with like cabbages and like other types of meats that one of my friend who's learning the cook profession, she was playing with me online and she was making all these big meals for me because I was telling her I'm losing weight. So I was eating all day for 3 hours, 3 hours. And guess what happened? I lost 1 pound. How, dude? How did I lose 1 pound after eating all the entire session? I was eating the entire session is like usually it's 1 hour, at least the way it's set on in my world. It's 1 hour, one actual real life hour equals one 24-hour cycle in game. So one real life hour is 1 day in the video game world. So it was several days. It was probably close to a week in those 3 hours because we would sleep and fast forward time. So therefore, it won't be an hour. It can be like one day can be, 25 minutes, 20 minutes. And depending if we're tired and we all sleep and fast forward time. So I was eating, and I lost weight, and I was like, "What's going on here, man?" Like now, that's when it felt unfair. The difficulty is fine. I like the fact that you have to keep your weight balanced. I like that a lot because I thought about turning off the nutrition part, and I did for a second. I was like, then I clicked it back on. I was like, you know what? Let me try to figure this out because I do like the system of you being underweight and overweight, and I like the penalties that it brings. It really, it really makes you feel like you're trying to survive a genuine like keyword survive, right? Like try to live as with all odds against you, right? You've got this zombie threat, you've got this fucking environmental threat, you've got the cold, you've got the heat, you've got the rain, you've got the snow, and then you've got food. Like if I'm not mistaken, I haven't reached the winter yet. I'm in September, and I'm like dreading the winter because none of us are prepared, and we all kind of have that little we're all guilty of preparing last minute. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm sure if one of my friends was listening now, she'll be laughing because I've been warning my little crew of three. So it's four of us that usually play um, almost every night. We're all hooked. And I was telling them like, "Hey man, 30 days before the power and electricity runs out. 30 days, 30 days." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." And then one day I log on and one of my friends goes, "Hey man, there's no water." Yeah, no shit, no shit. I've been sounding the doom alarm. I was like Rorschach, right, in The Watchmen, like the end is nigh, and everyone's like, "Ha ha, he's fucking crazy." Let's not pay attention to him. And also the zombie thing. Here's another one. I'll throw in a bonus one. It was dark as shit. Like I said earlier, I was just standing outside in my camp, outside of the door of this little makeshift house that my friends are making, and I get bit by a zombie from behind, right in the safe house. I understand if I was outside somewhere, like I'd be like, okay, that was dumb of me. But I was assuming that I was safe, and I was not. It was dark as shit. It was like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning in game, and I couldn't see anything. And I was telling my friends again, ringing the doom alarm. Hey, we should get some lights. Hey, we should get some lights. Hey, we should get some lights. I'm like, let's find a car that we don't care about and just leave that shit on. Leave the fucking lights on. Drain the battery. I don't care, but we need lights. There's no way we can we're gonna, we could trip over shit. We can't see nothing. And then I got bit in the dark, and I don't think that still helped. But yeah, that's my crew. They're all capable, but they're all Like they're all focusing on one thing, very singular. One's focusing on scavenging, the other one's a nurse, the other one's cooking. So they're doing great. Don't get me wrong. Overall, they're pulling their weight, man. They are. But we're not really too collective. We're together, but we're not collective, if that makes sense. We're all helping the little community out, but none of us are like, we're all not agreeing on working on one thing. We're all working on separate things. So if like we all just go, hey, let's find the light source and let's really focus on trying to find the light source, learning how to use the generator or finding cars that we don't care about and leaving them on the lights on and not giving a shit about the battery because we don't care about the car. I don't know. It's still fun. I bust their balls, but it's fun playing with them. And this game, it's a must. You don't have to play with people. You can totally play by yourself and have a lot of fun. I did it for a while before any of them, before I got any of them to play. I did it for a while where I played by myself, and I remember just thinking, like, wow, this game has a shitload of potential. Like this game is crazy. And then as I continued playing, that's when it dawned on me like, wow, this is a lot deeper than what I thought. Like I'm really enjoying this and gladly I'm happy that my friends are too. So now we're all obsessing about these games. Well, some of them I work with about two of them, and then the other one I knew since high school. And we're at work talking about it. You know what I mean? Like if someone heard us, they'll be like, "What the fuck is going on over there? Like, what are these guys doing in their free time? Bursting through windows and eating poison berries? Like these guys live a crazy life." I mean, there's no other way I can say it, but like I totally recommend it. For anyone, like anyone who just wants to play their way specifically, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There is like a way that you're supposed to, quote unquote, supposed to play Project Zomboid, which is, you know, surviving, worrying about your health, your what you're eating, worrying about the environment, dressing warm, dressing for the cold. Uh, all that is, I believe that's the default experience, but you don't even have to play like that, which is great. You can just pretty much play how you want. I like that a lot. I like the fact that you can just toggle on and off certain things. So it's like that's why I say it's the ultimate game because you can literally play it how you want. But it's still a game that like it's not for everyone. When I say, and you hear that all the time, I hate saying. I try to avoid saying that it's not for everyone. And everything is not for everyone. I have a water bottle on my desk right now. I go, hey, here's a water bottle. I can't say that's for everyone. There's gonna be people that go, actually, I don't like that because the plastic is BPA some shit. I don't know. There's always gonna be somebody that disagrees with you about something. Even if you think like, oh, hey, everyone would agree with me on this, right? Like I can be right now, I can say, hey, murder isn't right, right? Everyone can agree that killing a person isn't okay, right? And you would be surprised how many people would go like, nah, totally, let's kill that motherfucker. And I'd be like, okay. Anyways, what I'm saying is if you're someone who likes to traditionally play games that are just fun or highly graphic intensive games, well, not fun. Let me take that back because Project Zomboid is fun. What I meant to say is like highly graphic intensive games. That's something Project Zomboid is not. It's not a highly intensive graphical game. It's pretty simple looking sim style. Looks almost old school, and the game is old school because it's like 10 years old. You can say which surprises me because they're still working on it and it's very much alive. It's always up in like the Steam charts. People, it's a game that just like, and once you play, you understand. You go, oh, of course. It's almost like an MMO almost. It's just been going on for so long. It's been over, I believe a little over a decade that this game's been out, and it's just been getting better and better and better. And like it's been in early access for 10 years, which is that baffles me. I've never heard of a game that's been on early access for that long. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure there has to be a solid reason as to why it's in early access. Like maybe they're able to pump out updates a little more since they don't have the pressures of finance if once they release it, or I don't know. Dude, I don't know. That was just me just throwing something at the wall and hoping it sticks. Guns, I will say this one thing, probably last thing, because we're reaching about the half hour mark here. But guns is something that, oh, you can also do that too. You can, when I say play how you play, you can pretty much just, get a bunch of ammo. You can, put the loot rarity low and then just, go ape shit. You can find ammo anywhere. It would be like fucking PUBG. You can PvP also if that's your thing. Um, where was I? Yeah, guns is crazy because it's like once I found the gun when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh wow, I found the gun. It was like a revolver or something like that, and I was like, yes, it was loaded and everything, and I couldn't shoot a zombie for shit because I don't have no shooting skill, no aiming or reloading skill. So I was like, oh, you just can't pick up and shoot zombies, like you would in like I don't know, any other game. You're like an expert at shooting right off the bat, even if you're just a civilian who's never held a gun. As soon as you get the gun in game, boom, you're a fucking special operations soldier. So I do like the fact that you actually have to increase your skill. You can actually pick occupations in the beginning of the game, and I think a police officer is one where you start off with like actual combat experience or whatever, and you're aiming and you're reloading. I think it's a little higher than usual, and then you can just build off of that. But it's kind of cool to know that there's guns in the games. Like when I first started playing the game, there was like a gun that I finally got my hand on, and I was like, finally, I don't have to do this melee shit anymore, which I was enjoying. But I was like, I'll rather much shoot someone like bow and arrow. Bow and arrow's always been my thing in video games. It's quiet, it's a projectile, and you feel like a badass when you sink an arrow in someone's face. But in this case, it's like actually finding a gun works against you because once you shoot it, it attracts a shitload of zombies. So it's like, damn, you know here goes the thing that I spent a lot of time thinking about. Like, I can't wait to get a projectile weapon of some sort, and bang, I finally got it. And it's like, oh, it's actually worse to get a projectile weapon. Uh, that was cool though because it is kind of realistic, right? If I mean, assuming there's ever a zombie apocalypse, which in 2023, bro, that's not even out the question, right? Seriously, with all the crazy shit that's been happening, like a zombie apocalypse does not sound far fetched, dude. It does not. Maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you go, oh, you've been watching too many horror movies. Now it's like, hey, man, shut up. Don't jinx us. Um, yeah, I like that. I like the fact that of course, shooting a gun in a zombie apocalypse is fucking terrible for you and your friends if you're playing with them. The zombies are gonna hear that shit. So that was cool. I found that really cool or whatever. There's way too much shit to talk about in this game. Like I just urge you to play it and give it a shot. You can always find it for pretty cheap, 10, $20. I believe I got my copy for $10 and probably not the most legals of ways. I'm not gonna lie to you. Don't get me wrong, I paid for it. I paid for my game, but the person I paid, that's the shady part. Anyways, I say you do give it a shot wherever you can find it. I don't know where it's I know it's on Steam. And I also read somewhere that Steam is probably not the best version, that you might be able to get one from the developers themselves. I think they're called the Indie Stone, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't, I'm pretty sure that Steam isn't only the only platform where you can buy it. Give it a shot. There's no way I can talk to it. I'm going on 33 minutes right now, or actually going on 34 minutes of talking to you about this game, and I can sit here and talk to you for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and I still won't be able to cover this entire game in length. There's just too much to cover. But I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've nowhere near end game, quote unquote end game. There's really no end game. This game continues as long as you want to continue. Because even after you die, that's just the end of your character's story. It's not the end of the game. You just come back as someone new, and if you're willing to grind again for the same stats your old character has, then you're more than welcome to do that. Um, that puts some people off. Some people don't want to die. They don't want to work so hard and then die and then lose all that. But I like the realism in that. I like the fact that you have to deal with the loss. I enjoy it a lot, actually. It's one of the best parts of the game for me. But I understand. I have another he's not really a coworker. He's actually more on the management side, but older guy, but he's just as much as a dork as I am. Maybe even more so, but he plays like video games. I remember me and him were having a conversation one day, and he was telling me that he likes to play games easy. When he plays games, he wants to relax. He doesn't want any challenge in his video games. He just wants to sit back and just, and I get it because he's older. He's a little over middle age. Let's say like 55, 56, I'm assuming. And I get it. First of all, for him being 55, 56 and still playing games, that's awesome. I like that. But also, I can't relate with that because I'm like some of the best games I've ever played were because of the challenge, right? Like I need a challenge. Like Dark Souls is infamously notorious. I don't know if that even makes sense. Infamous Being infamous is being notorious, right? But in the bad sense. I don't know. Dark Souls is known for being difficult, and that's its charm. That's literally the main reason why people play Dark Souls, because it is a difficult game, and you get a giant sense of satisfaction finally defeating a boss that you've been dying on over and over again. And I've experienced that with Dark Souls, and it was great. It's a great feeling. It does personally for me. It gets tiring repeating the same formula over and over, right? Like you meet a boss, you die a bunch of times, you finally beat them. Then you meet another boss, you die a bunch of times, you find like to me the formula is pretty, you know, it's pretty like basic to me. As crazy as that sounds, I can't speak about um the Elden Ring. I heard that's more open world and you can actually do a lot more things like exploration and all that, which is cool. Maybe one day I'll actually will give that a chance, even though I'm not too crazy about Dark Souls today because I feel like people have overdone it, right? Like it's become such a popular game that it now has its own category, Dark Souls like, or Souls like. Sorry, Souls like. That's like kind of like how Metroid and Castlevania made their own. Like those games were like kind of like I don't know if they were the first to do the whole 2D thing. Obviously they weren't, but they kind of birthed um, categories of genres in gaming. Metrovania, Castlevania type games, and I feel like that's not what I feel like. That's exactly what Dark Souls did. They now have Souls like games, and those Souls like games are like they're too abundant. I'm sorry, man. Some of them are dope. Salt and Sanctuary is pretty cool. I played Blasphemy. I forgot the name. It's a little 2D quote unquote Metrovania Dark Souls like game, and it was great. I really loved it. I loved the pixel artwork. I loved the game was fun. The combat was fluid. I highly recommend Blasphemous. I don't know if I spoke about that game actually. Have I made it? I don't know, man. I'm old. Can't remember this shit. But I definitely would suggest playing that one. Um, Yeah, I do. There's some games that are Souls like that I do enjoy, but I feel like that category in video gaming has been beat to hell. Like I'm like, dude, I'm over it. Like Marvel movies. I grew up on comic books. I love comic books. I still do, and I still like superheroes, not as much as before, but I'm sick and tired of Marvel movies. I'm sick and tired of DC movies. I'm sick and tired of superhero movies. I know there's a lot of people that'll hear this, or all three people that hear this, they'll be upset because it's so huge, it's such a big market, but it's like, dude, listen to me. Anything, and I repeat, anything can be overdone. Any good thing, any bad thing, anything can be overdone. You know what I mean? You can take a good joke, and if you say it all the time, it's like, bro, okay, we get it. You can apply that same logic to Marvel movies, or superhero movies in general. It's like, okay, we get it. This is the 30th one this year. You know what I mean? Like, this is the 30th show this year. This is the 30th video game this year. It's like, it gets like, okay, I'm a little over it. I'm going to step back. And this is coming from a nerd. This is even coming from a casual observer that never was into like Batman or, and I loved comics growing up, dude. I love because we didn't fucking have internet when I was 6, 7 years old. We had to use our imagination. Like I used to like drawing. I used to like art. I used to like any writing. I used to write my own little horror stories. Um, Image Comics. I used to read Dark Horse comics, Marvel comics, DC comics. What was another one? Valiant, if I'm not mistaken. Like all these lesser known, well, at the time they're like cheaper brands you can find like at the dollar store. But I read everything, man. Ninjak and Gravestone and um, all these cool heroes that no one's really heard of too much. But I love the artwork, and I grew up on it. I loved it, but it's coming from a nerd to say that Marvel movies are overdone. Like they're going crazy with it. That hurts. It hurts to say because it's like it's coming from someone who actually has who's pretty valid, has validity, if that's a word, in the dork kingdom. I don't know what that had to do with Zomboid, but point is, it is a game that I definitely think you should try and give it a shot. And oh, I remember saying that one of my coworkers plays games that is they're pretty easy and he enjoys his time. And I'm like, I get it, because some people just want to relax. That's why you have games like Stardew Valley that do great, right? They do fantastic because they're not necessarily difficult games. They're just relaxing games. There's a lot of things for you to do, a lot of chores and stuff. That's cool. Games like Terraria, Terraria, games like that also can be relaxing and cool. Games like Minecraft, they don't have to be all hectic, and you can also just relax and make stuff. My friend's son, autistic kid, great kid. He loves playing Minecraft, and all he does is just like collect animals and laughs at the sounds they make and stuff. And I find it great. I'm always laughing with him because he's having a blast. He's just got his little sandbox, he's got his little pen. He's pretty good at the game, actually. Like, in the sense of, like, him building stuff, and him, like, you would think that, like, a younger kid like him would just probably kind of be basic, maybe make some holes in the dirt and throw like a pig in there. But he's got like these little elaborate underground pens with animals in there and shit. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that this game's been out for 10 years and it's not dying anytime soon. I'm playing it now. It's great. I'm going to continue to play for quite a while, and I'm excited to see what the future brings. Maybe add a bow and arrow in there. Maybe actually hunting real animals. I don't know. It's been 10 years. I don't know why they didn't implement that. It has to be a big reason why, man, because that's too obvious, right? Zombie games and bow and arrows, they go hand in hand, man. Like, they go hand in hand. Um, so for the game being out for over a decade, I don't know why they didn't implement that. Sleeping in a car, that's another thing that I'm like, what? Like when I'm traveling with my crew and we're in a van and they're all tired, I'm like, I'm driving. I'm like, they should be able to nap. Like I understand if they're nervous or they're anxious because there's zombies around. Like if you actually get the moodle on the right hand side, I'll go, okay, okay, you can't just sleep if you know there's fucking zombies all around you. Who does that? But if you're just driving and you're not anxious, I believe you can just, you should take a nap in the car and regain some stamina or whatever. That way we can go out and kill a bunch of zombies. Anyways, this went on a little longer than I thought. If you stuck around and listened to my rants, thanks. And I know I said I was supposed to drop one of these every single week. Man, I'm not even gonna make excuses. The other day it was like I was 5 days in. I looked at my last video and I was like, okay, it's been 5 days since I posted my last video. I could totally make one now. And then I ended up just drinking coffee and like I think I went for like a run and I was like, I don't feel like doing all that. So sorry. I'm still trying. I'm really gonna try to get into the rhythm and knock these out. At least every 7 days have one up. Hopefully the next one will come much sooner than 7 days, but we'll see about that. Thanks for listening.